Good morning, dear students in grade 10 and almost Tama Private School. How are you? I hope everything is okay. And our lesson today is grammar to present the past simple and the expression used to. But first of all, let me present our value for this week, which is altruism, as you know. Let's start with this exercise. Find the mistake. Read the following sentences and find 6 spelling mistakes. Pause the video and come back to me to check your answers. And here are the answers. Great. Let's start our lesson by introducing this vocabulary. In the past, yesterday, last, and ago. All of these words are related to the tense of the past simple. First of all, let's identify the cases which we can use the past simple for. Actions that started and were completed at specific time in the past. Here we should mention the time. My family and I went on a cruise last month. Second, habitual or repeated actions in the past. I went camping every summer when I was younger. 3. Completed actions that happened one after the other in the past, like Eddie got up at 8 o'clock, had breakfast, and left for school. What is the first verb here? Got up in the past, had in the past, and left in the past. So all of these actions happened in the past, one after the other. And finally, for permanent situation, but in the past. I lived in London for 20 years. When did that happen? In the past. How can we form it? We can form the past simple tense by giving the second form by adding d or ed or ied. Or the irregular verbs in the past simple don't take ed. For a list of irregular verbs, go to page 84. But for the regular verbs, it can accept d or ed or ied. Like I worked, he slept, it's irregular. In the question form, you start or you can use the verb did plus the main verb in the infinitive form. Did you work? Did you work? Did she sleep? The main verb should be or must be infinitive, following the word did. For negative, you will put did not. They did not work. It didn't sleep. Watch, the main verb is in the bare infinitive also, because it's preceded by the word didn't. In exercise A, read the example below from the text and answer the questions. They thought his vehicle was an abandoned, crashed car. He could barely move or speak. At least one ship passed by but didn't notice, etc. How do we form the past simple of irregular and irregular? For the verb past, it's irregular. You can add ed. For the verb thought, the bare infinitive think, and the second form is thought. You must study it. How can we form the negative form? The negative, put the word didn't, then the infinitive. What about the question form? The question form, you can use did in the question, plus infinitive. What is the past simple of verbs be and can? The past simple of verb to be, excellent, was, or were. And the past simple of the verb can could. Could. How do we form questions with these verbs? You can present them in the beginning. He could, no, the question form will be could he barely move or speak? Like that. Get it? What kind of actions does the past simple describe? It describes an action that happened and ended in the past. And here there is an expression which is used in the past. You can use the to plus base form, infinitive, to describe permanent past state. I used to be overweight when I was younger. Or to describe past habits. My father used to drive to work, but now he walks. So he doesn't do that anymore. To describe repeated actions in the past that no longer happen. We used to go out every day, but we don't anymore. Watch that. The phrase used to followed by infinitive. I used to work. He used to sleep. For the question, did you use without D? Did you use to work? Did she use to sleep? For the negative form, they didn't use to work. It didn't use to sleep. Exercise B. Read the examples below. What does it mean? I used to go rock climbing a lot when I was younger. What does that mean? It means that when I was younger, I was in the habit of going rock climbing a lot. But now what happened? Now I don't. So it is a past habit. In which cases can we use either the past simple or used to? We can use either the past simple or used to talk about past habits or repeated actions in the past that no longer happen or no longer exist. Listen to exercise C in page number 21. But first, note that I worked hard yesterday. I worked hard. It's a regular verb, the second form, by adding ed. I called Muhammad last week. Called. It's a regular verb, just add ed. My friend bought a new car 3 days ago. Bought is an irregular verb. The second form from the verb buy, it's bought. I saw Ahmed at Qatar Mall. I saw the second form from the verb see. It's an irregular verb. Now it's your turn. She correct the verb live in Doha in 2002. That happened in the past. She excellent lived. She lived. Just add D because it's a regular verb. My brother his car yesterday. Correct the verb sell. Because it happened in the past, you can bring the second form or the second form from the verb sell. Actually, it's an irregular verb. You can go to the list of irregular verbs and come back to me and tell me what is the second form of the verb sell. Excellent. My brother sold. S-O-L-D. Sold. Sold. Let's move to exercise C. Complete the dialogues with the past simple of the verbs in brackets. You can use used to where possible. You can pause the video and present your answers. Then come back to me to compare your answers. Now, let me check. Number 1. A is speaking to B. It's a question. Did you know that Mark went hiking every weekend before? Or you can use did you know that Mark used to go hiking every weekend before he Correct the verb move. Moved to the city. B. Yes. Don't tell me that you. Negative form from the past simple. Didn't. Excellent. Didn't know. Another question, another dialogue. 2. A. I. Negative in the past. I didn't mind. Or you can use didn't used to mind, driving in extreme weather conditions before. Before I, what is the past form of the verb had? Excellent, dear, I had the accident. Now I never drive and the weather is bad. Good for you. Dialogue number 3. It's a question. Start with did. Excellent. Did your uncle live or did your uncle used to live in an igloo when he, verb to be in the past, was in Alaska? Don't be silly. It's don't live in igloo. My uncle, you can use stayed or used to stay in an igloo for a couple of days. It sounds like a great experience. Yeah, it is. When I, in the past, visit in the past. Yeah, it's a regular verb. Excellent. I visited him last winter. We went hunting together. Once we, excellent, spent a night in an igloo. It, excellent, dear. It was amazing. Now it's your turn to test yourself. Rewrite the verbs in brackets in the correct forms. Nasser. It was the past. Yes, it's an irregular verb. Go back to the irregular verbs list. Yeah, tell me. Nasser, excellent. Spoke. And Yusuf arrived. Yes, great. We bought our house 5 years ago. I went to bed early when I lived with my parents. I made a sandwich and watched the match. I hope you have understood the lesson today, and it's time to say goodbye for you. But before saying goodbye, test yourself in these 3 sentences. And now it's time to see you again, inshallah, and say goodbye.